Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to be taking a look at the pretty awesome Acer Nitro 5, the A515-43 R5W3. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, in today's video we'll be taking a look at the Acer Nitro 5. Now, Acer have never been particularly good with their naming schemes and structures, etc. But this is the A515-43 R5W3. Essentially, this is the Ryzen 5 version. It's running the 3550H processor, which is a 4-core, 8-thread CPU with a base clock of about 2.1 GHz and maximum boost of 3.7 GHz. So 4 cores, 8 threads. Also has Vega 8 graphics built in, so if you're just using your normal Windows desktop, just plodding along doing things, then the onboard graphics will do the job. But also, to back this up, it also has the GeForce GTX 1650 with a 4GB memory buffer, just to give you a little bit of boost in those gaming tasks. This model also comes in various configurations, but the particular one we've got today comes with 8GB of RAM, now that's DDR4. Also, storage-wise, we've got a single PCI Express NVMe drive, which is 256GB, although one of the clever tricks up the sleeve of these Acer devices is the flexibility and upgradability. Easy to access, just 12 screws on the bottom. You can remove the bottom plate and gain access to pretty much everything inside there. There is, on this particular model, an additional slot for mounting an SSD, a 2.5-inch drive, and also there is an additional slot for another NVMe drive. Pretty awesome. Out of the box, it comes with Windows 10 pre-installed and is pretty much ready to go, although I have gone through this particular one and removed most of the bloat. There is an awful lot of bloat that comes with Acer laptops, as usual, so we've removed all that to give pretty much a basic install. Windows itself runs really snappy and is a real joy to use. In certain tasks, you wouldn't know it was a laptop. It certainly does perform like a desktop. Also, in benchmarking, Cinebench R20 got a pretty decent score of around about 1600, which for this kind of setup is where you should be looking. Although I did try and do a benchmark run previously before getting rid of some of the bloat, and we were in the 1400s, so there is definitely some performance left on the table by having all the bloatware installed. So Windows and productivity tasks, yep, no problems whatsoever. But what most of you are probably asking is, what's it like for gaming? Well, actually, it's pretty darn good. Acer has a really good way of putting these laptops together at a certain price point. This one actually retails for around about the £600 mark here in the UK as of September 2020, which is actually a really good price in my opinion. The version that I've got of this also is the Acer 515-43, which has just got the standard Vega graphics, and is actually fine for productivity and normal use, but it does lack when it comes to gaming. So the GTX 1650 built into this really does give it that little bit of extra gaming oomph. Running Fortnite at 60 frames per second in epic mode, absolutely fine on this 1080p screen. The screen itself is a really nice screen. It's an IPS rated screen, 1920 by 1080 resolution, and looks absolutely brilliant. Games really do have a lot of punch and clarity, and watching movies is absolutely beautiful. I don't think the camera actually picks up how nice it is. You really do need to be in front of it to see what it's actually like. One of the common traits of these particular units is the speakers. The speakers are a little bit on the tinny side and a little bit puny, if I'm completely honest. Although this one does seem to be a slight notch up from my other A515 model. It does have some pretty good highs, reasonable mid-range, and the lows are, well, there. But there isn't a subwoofer or anything like that included, so if you do want some really punchy sound, I would certainly suggest getting yourself a set of add-on speakers, or maybe just plug in some kind of USB headset. And to do that, it's really simple. This unit actually comes with a load of I/O. So looking at the I/O on the side, we've got a Kensington lock slot, we've got a Ethernet jack, which supports gigabit Ethernet, we've got an HDMI output, so if you want to output onto a larger screen, you can do very easily. You've got a USB Type-C port, and then you've got two USB 3.0 ports. So connectivity wise, I think it pretty much covers all the bases there, especially considering the price point. Moving around to the other side, we've got a combination headset jack, so that's ear, mic, etc. Next to that, we've also got another USB 2.0 port for those easy tasks to do, like headsets, that kind of thing. We've got some LED notifications, so power and hard drive activity. Next to that, we've got our power jack. Now the power jack actually on this is pretty important. One of the reasons why some of the other Acer models do perform a little bit lackluster is because of the power supply. Now this one actually comes with a 135 watt power brick, which really does supply enough power to really get the best out of this particular unit. Next to the power jack, we've got some vents, and actually on the back there is quite a lot of ventilation, so you don't have to worry about anything overheating or anything. It actually runs really nicely. On the bottom, we've got plenty of ventilation here, so no issues with it overheating. I did find in gaming and also benchmarks, the CPU got up to around about 75-80 degrees, which is absolutely fine for a laptop like this. It can actually get up to about 105, which is the maximum TDP. So being around the 80 degrees mark is absolutely fine. And also the GPU, very similar story, gets to around about 75 degrees under full load, which again, for this kind of unit is absolutely fine. And the desktop units will get to pretty much the same temperatures in a much larger chassis. Now, this chassis itself is actually, it's quite chunky. It's actually going to be quite resilient, and there's virtually no flex in the deck at all. The top is all plastic, as is pretty much most of the construction. The base is all plastic. The only real metal section is this top bit here where the hinge is housed, and you've got this really nice Nitro logo on there. There is Acer logo on the top, which is barely visible, but it is there. And another thing about the top is it does actually pick up fingerprints like crazy. I've cleaned this multiple times before this review, and it still seems to pick up the dirt and the dust. But realistically, most of you are going to be looking at the screen and the keyboard rather than actually looking at fingerprints. The screen itself, like I said, is a 1080p screen, IPS, and it's got a really nice kind of matte finish to it, so reflections aren't too bad, and for certain lighting conditions, you can possibly tell just from me moving it around, there isn't a great deal of reflection. Even with the bright studio lights on here, it isn't until you get to a certain point where it does become quite dazzling. And talking of dazzling, the keyboard on this I actually really like. Some people don't like gamery style keyboards, but I actually really like this one. It's got a fully illuminated keyboard and also a separate number pad, which all works really well. It's really nice and easy to type on, very comfortable. Got rather large wrist rest area, so it is really comfortable for prolonged use. The trackpad itself is one thing which I say is a little bit in the mushy side. Again, that is a very common thing with relatively budget laptops. It is completely functional and works very well, and is pretty responsive, albeit a little mushy. So overall, actually a very, very nice unit. Again, for the price, around about £600 here in the UK, you do get an awful lot for your money. I picked up the kind of the standard version of this, the A515-43 RL I think it was, which didn't have the built-in graphics, didn't have the nice keyboard, and didn't have the expandability that this one does, and that one cost me around about £400 on special offer, reduced from £500. So to take it up an extra £100 to get that 1650 graphics and also the flexibility of the larger upgrades, I think this is well worth the money. Now, upgrade wise, if you want to, you can, like I said, put in an additional 2.5-inch drive. You can swap out the memory on this. You can actually upgrade to 32 gigs, which I think is going to be absolutely fine for most uses. The one downside in the standard configuration is it only comes with 8 gigs of RAM, which is split over two 4 gig sticks, which if you do want to upgrade, ideally you want to take both of those out and replace both with maybe 2 8s or 2 16s to get the most out of it. As standard, when you're using Windows, because of the integrated Vega 8 graphics, you do only get to use 5.95 gigabytes of RAM, which can be a little bit limiting on certain tasks. But as it stands, I think it's a really nice unit. You've got all the features there, built-in webcam for teleconferencing, Zoom, Skype, all those kinds of things. Windows pre-installed and relatively up-to-date. This version came with 1909 pre-installed, which I'm pretty happy with. It would be nice if it is 2004 on there, but it's a very easy thing to just do a quick Windows update. So overall, would I buy one? Yeah, definitely. Does well in benchmarks, looks really nice, not overly heavy, quite easy to transport around, and the price is one of the really compelling things about this particular unit. So go ahead and sound off in the comments, let me know what you think of it. But in the meantime, I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.